Easthampton School Superintendent back in March of 2023, now filing a 14-count lawsuit this week claiming personal and professional damages.
The drama began back in spring of 2023. Having secured the position as the final candidate for Easthampton School Superintendent and subsequently offered a contract for that position, Vito Perrone sent an email. It was intended to tweak a few provisions in his offer, including vacation and sick days. He addressed it to school committee chair Cynthia Kwasinski and Suzanne Colby, executive assistant to the committee, and in it addressed them as ladies. Soon after, he says he was notified by Kwasinski that his offer for super would be taken away, and sure enough, it was officially revoked in an executive session. Western Mass News has obtained the lawsuit filed by Perrone this week. It details the reason behind the quick about-face was his use of the word ladies, which he considered a term of respect. But allegedly, Kwasinski found it, quote, unprofessional and dismissive, and she was insulted. She stated that she's terrified of his behavior. She sees a major problem and is worried of a procedure to terminate if needed versus rescinding that offer now. As a result, Perrone is suing her, along with fellow school committee members Megan Harvey, Benjamin Hersey, Maren Goldstein, and Mayor Nicole LaChapelle individually and in their official capacities, as well as the City of Easthampton and the school committee. Perrone's 35-page complaint claims, amongst other things, defendant City of Easthampton and defendant City of Easthampton School Committee breached the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing because they terminated plaintiff's employment contract in bad faith, and their conduct of terminating the employment contract was unreasonable under the circumstances. It goes on to allege that, as a direct and proximate result of defendant City of Easthampton and defendant City of Easthampton School Committee's unlawful conduct, they have caused plaintiff to incur damages including lost income, lost employment benefits, and lost retirement benefits. Perrone is looking to be compensated for those damages, as well as what he alleges include harm to his reputation, personal humiliation, shame, disgrace, and mental anguish and suffering. The lawsuit's cover sheet indicates an amount of $300,000 or whatever the jury deems appropriate.
We did reach out to Mayor Nicole LaChapelle and the city